What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the Detroit Lions' final 5 games. Why? Because we have a new head coach for these last 5 games, and I want to see it. Let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we have 5 games left on our schedule. We're sitting at 4-7. You're probably saying to yourself, how in the world could this be interesting? Well, it just became pretty darn interesting. With the Lions firing Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn, now Darrell Bevell has taken over as the Detroit Lions interim head coach. And while we don't necessarily think he has done the best job as an offensive coordinator, we're going to get an opportunity to see basically a tryout, or you could say an interview, right before our eyes in the final 5 weeks of this season. Okay, the Lions are going to make a coaching change, you know, during the season. For the final 5 games, Darrell Bevell is going to take this team over. Not his team, he's going to take this team over. I'm sure he's had some influence on certain players that have been brought in, especially on the offensive side, but he's going to take this over as our former offensive coordinator, and he's going to do the best that he can to get some wins in the final 5 games. To him, this isn't a tanking thing. To him, this is an opportunity to prove that he could potentially be an NFL head coach. I almost guarantee you that he is up for this and that he is really ready for this opportunity. I mean, who wouldn't be, right? You're an offense coordinator. That's great, but hold up. I get 5 games to see if I can be a head coach. Let's see what it can happen. I've never tried it before. Let's see what can happen. I mean, the truth is, being a coordinator is completely different from being a head coach. I mean, some guys, they maybe just aren't cut out to do the whole head coaching thing. I mean, you can scheme, you can be, you know, prepared and everything like that when you're being a coordinator, but as a head coach, there's just so much that has to go into it. I mean, you're running the team like this is my team. You have to get the players motivated. There's a lot that goes into it, deeper than simply just designing a scheme. And that doesn't mean that Darrell Bevell will be the right guy. And that's why I want someone that's seasoned. You know, that's why we talk about head coaches that are seasoned, that are proven, that have done it before, been there, done that. They know what they're looking for when they come in. But you look at a guy like Matt Patricia, him a little bit, is that he's never done it before. So when he came to the Detroit Lions, it was his first time trying it. And you know what? I think you could tell that, look, maybe he isn't ready to be a head coach, or maybe this isn't for him right now, or maybe it won't ever be for him. But I think you look at a guy like Darrell Bevell, it could be the same situation. But it's also an opportunity to see that, hey, maybe he does. Maybe he connects with them better. I mean, it should be a perfect opportunity to get people to connect, knowing that everybody's fighting for a job. Everybody's, you know, basically out there interviewing for your team or some other team. It should be pretty easy to get players motivated these last 5 games, even if you're not necessarily in a playoff picture or playoff prime position. I mean, you still technically are mathematically alive if you want to, but it's not likely to happen. But head coaching is completely different from being a coordinator. And, you know, we'll get to see what Darrell Bevell's team comes out looks like. Will they become a train wreck and it's like, wow, this looks even worse than it did with Patricia? Or will they go out there and it's like, hey, this team is showing some life. They're showing a little bit of something. I mean, I don't expect to be pretty, but, you know, they could show something. And knowing that there's such a big difference between simply being a coordinator and being a head coach, and, you know, it's not all game plan X's and O's, because I think Patricia was okay with that. But, you know, aside from that, you have to be able to get your players motivated. You know, they have to want to be out there, want to play for you. Reports are that players really do like Darrell Bevell. Now, you know, obviously those are just reports, and, you know, I don't think they would say that they don't like Darrell Bevell, but, you know, I mean, that's what's out there. He's asked about potentially becoming a head coach in the NFL. He says, I've been chasing it for a while. I think the most important thing for me to do is, I always say this, is do the job that I have right now, the best to my abilities, and let the other stuff take care of itself. So now he has that opportunity, and, you know, I'm not surprised. Obviously, you know, I really would think that he wants this opportunity. I mean, who wouldn't want this opportunity to become an NFL head coach? And I'm sure you get paid a little bit more as well. Several players spoke up and said very positive things. Let's get back to work and figure out how we're going to beat the Bears. That's what Rod Wood said, if you guys can remember, when Sheila Ford did her little interview after they fired them. So again, these are just quotes, and obviously they're not going to say any bad things like, hey, the players were mad. They're like, oh, I hate Bevell. That's not going to happen. But Bevell wants this opportunity, and I'm glad that honestly he gets this opportunity. So, you know, I guess that is one of the biggest positives out of this, that instead of just riding it to the end of the season, you're at least going to get to see how the Lions, you know, how they respond with Darrell Bevell now for the last 5 games. And how Darrell Bevell is able to respond to the things going on in the game. How well can he manage it? Things like that, because it's on the fly. This is a very tough task. I'm interested to see how it goes. Realistically, this is probably going to be really bad, okay? I wouldn't say a trade wreck, because, you know, this kind of was expected, but realistically, our last 5 games, we may not win any of them. We may not win any of them. I mean, realistically, what we've seen so far, we probably won't win any of these games. But what if we do? Like, what if the Lions go out there, they look pretty darn competitive in our final 5, they compete, right? They come out with some new energy, which you're expecting, which, by the way, should be exciting, because all of these players now, we don't know what the heck their future looks like, so everybody should be playing for their jobs at this point. But what if these final 5 games, they pull out a couple of upset wins? You know, they look competitive. I think all of a sudden, Darrell Bevell has a legit case to say, I should get a shot at this next season. I mean, think about it. This offseason, we don't know what's going to happen. You got all these COVID things. Who knows how they're going to allow people to interview? It may have to be over Zoom. You know, there's a lot of weird things, right? What will the salary cap look like? But you got a guy in Darrell Bevell who's under contract. What if these last 5 games, he comes out and coaches them well, and he comes out and this team has a life to them? He might get a chance at this. I mean, of course, we would have to see that, but if he does, he might actually get a shot at this next season. He might get a full season to see what, okay, well, Darrell, what can you do? Darrell, what can you do with this team? You know why? Why not give him an opportunity if he's already here if these last 5 games go well? Now, not assuming they will, but there's always that chance that they do. And the reason I'm excited for this is for many different reasons. Sticking to, you know, the whole head coaching and winning thing, we've actually seen this once in our franchise. Well, we may have seen it before, but we've seen this once and it was very successful. And that was actually Wayne Fontes. So I was doing some digging. I'm sure you, some of you guys, older guys out there probably knew this, but Wayne Fontes took over as our interim head coach with 5 games left in 1988. Took over as our interim head coach, finished that season 2-3, and he coached for 128 total games, I think, with the Detroit Lions. And he was the guy to give us a playoff win in the Super Bowl era. That guy. He was an interim head coach. He took over for a team that was 2-9. 2-9 so far. Now we're 4-7. We're in a little bit of a better spot. We were 2-9 then. He finished 2-3. And all of a sudden we gave him the opportunity. And you know what? The first 2 years didn't go great. 7-9, 6-10. But that third year he was 12-4. Then he was 5-11. Then 10-6, 9-7, 10-6. Our most successful coach in terms of, you know, getting a playoff win, things like that. He got his start from being an interim head coach. He was a defensive coordinator that took over the role and Rodgers was fired. And he turned into the guy that actually gave us a playoff win in the Super Bowl era. I'm not saying Darrell Bevell will do that, but there's some excitement there to think that it's possible. And guess what? If it doesn't, who cares? You get a higher draft pick. He wasn't going to be here anyways. Because here's the thing. Either Darrell Bevell, in my opinion, is going to go out there, do really well, and maybe earn himself a chance to coach next season. Or it will not go well, and he'll be fired. Corey Ellen will be fired. Maybe Braden Coombs stays. You know what? We're just finding a whole new staff, which is kind of what we're expecting anyways. So the fact that there's at least something here to be excited about. I mean, everybody's playing for their jobs. There's something to be excited about. Usually when you're 4-7, there's not a lot to be excited about. You know, but now there is. There's actually something to see because there not only is a record thing and potentially coaching next year, there's a lot of questions that I want to see answered. And I think we're going to see it with Darrell Bevell as our head coach. Because of Matt Patricia here, we don't know exactly who's making the calls on game plans and how they're going to play the game and how they attack things. I mean, this season, we have not loved what Darrell Bevell has done offensively for all the time. Sometimes we do, but a lot of times we haven't. But the question that I have is, how much of that was Matt Patricia? How much of some of those game plans that the Lions slow playing things to play pretty conservative? How many of those game plans were Matt Patricia deciding that? Right? We're going to learn that. Could it have been Darrell Bevell? Absolutely. And we'll see that. If it is, we'll see that again when Darrell Bevell takes over as our head coach. But if it was more Matt Patricia and he was trying to kind of play games like that, trying to be more clock management, run a lot of clock, be a run first team, all that stuff, see a different type of offense. Not only am I excited about the offense, but also the defense. What is the defense going to look like? I mean, this was Matt Patricia's defense. And yes, Corey Ellen was there. They worked together. But how is the defense going to approach this without Matt Patricia? How is Corey Ellen going to approach this as, well, now it's my defense? Because I'm assuming Darrell Bevell is going to kind of let him do his thing. Like, okay, you do whatever you want to do. I'm going to be the guy that's in charge of the offense, calling the plays, and I'll try to keep track of all the clock management and things, subs like that. So I'm going to need help from some assistants. But for Corey Ellen, do your defense. I mean, hey, I don't hardly have expertise in that. Darrell Bevell has never worked in the defense side of things. He was a quarterback at Wisconsin. He was a quarterback coach, wide receivers coach. He was an assistant quarterback coach, and he's been an offense coordinator. He's never worked on defense. That's not a specialty. But for everybody that's going to be playing for their jobs, these guys are basically playing for their jobs on the staff. This is exciting. It's exciting because we're going to learn new things, even if they're not winning, but we're also going to get to see what he can do. I mean, honestly, at this point, you know, I'm not going out there with the expectations that, oh yeah, he's going to be our future, because I don't think he will be. I think we're going to go out and really struggle. I mean, we're playing 5 playoff opponents, arguably, in our last, aside from maybe the Vikings and the Bears, these are all playoff teams, right? I mean, the playoffs are basically right now. So, not expecting to win all these games. I don't even think they're going to win one game. Realistically, I don't think they'll win the game. But the excitement here is that they get to play all this competition. They get to play all these playoff teams. They get to see how they can match up, you know? How much is it maybe we were lacking talent? How much is it maybe we're lacking the right guy to take it over? Maybe they didn't have, you know, the same, maybe they were just not mentally in it. You know, how much was that a factor? We're going to get to learn a lot of things in these final 5 games. And you know what? Again, if it doesn't work, it's all good. You know, that's what we were expecting anyways. We're going to rebuild. We're going to get our new staff, everything like that. Great. But if it does, could we have potentially another Wayne Fontes thing? Now, an article came out in 2012 that looked at 42 cases on Bleacher Report where an interim head coach took over. When they took over as interim head coach, those coaches on average won 39% of their games. After that takeover, After that, they won 47% of their games, which is an 8% increase. 8% increase, that's not bad. And again, we've seen it with Wayne Fonts. So there's some examples that you can look at. I think Jeff Fisher was another one. There's some examples where it actually worked out for them and they actually rolled with that guy. I don't think it'll be Darrell Bevell. I think this is, you know, a little far-fetched, but heck, I mean, it's going to be something that's entertaining because, you know, right now, there wasn't a lot of excitement going on, realistically. I mean, we looked at this and said, yeah, I don't know if there's last time here. That's why I made the video thinking that, hey, Matt Patricia is going to get fired because I just don't see how they can get enough wins here in their last 5 games to argue that they are going to be a playoff contender because you already put that mandate out there. But now that they're gone, that mandate doesn't apply to Darrell Bevell, right? But for Darrell Bevell, what that means is you either prove yourself that you can be a head coach or you're likely going to be fired. And we're going to go bring an entirely new staff. Same thing with Unland, potentially same thing with Braden Coombs. So it's going to be exciting. I hope you guys are excited for this as I am. You know, hey, look, that's about as excited as you can be when you're 4-7. But it should be pretty cool to watch. I'm ready for this. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. We'll continue with the head coach and GM videos as well. Thank you for watching, and I'm out. Are you kidding me right now? I had to put my helmet on for this one. Are you kidding? Look at this. Look at all these members. What? What? Yo, hey, shout out to all the members, man. Look how many All-Pro members there are. Like, literally, it's the whole screen, dog. This is crazy. The patrons, of course, the Hall of Fame members, man. Y'all got the gold color. It's kind of yellow, but it's supposed to be gold. Shout out to all the members, man. If you want to be a part of this, all you got to do is join the channel. But there are perks that come with it. Stay locked in the community tab if you are a member because that's where a lot of information comes out. I appreciate all of you. What?